Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Hi, welcome to the Parrot Literary Corner. I am Dustin Pickering, your anchor and host. If you have not subscribed to the channel, you're missing out on a lot of fabulous content. Today we have Dennis Brown, who lives in the United States in Michigan. He is an educator with a bachelor's degree in English language and literature. He also has a master's degree in educational leadership. Dennis is married to his wife, Melissa, and is the proud parent of two children, Megan and Mason. He is an aspiring writer with a focus on poetry. Dennis has collaborated with artists and poets alike. He currently has two collaborations in the works for books of poetry, and he's been recognized for his writing worldwide. He also is working on a suspense novel. He has received numerous accolades and has produced both commissioned and published work. He is an advocate on domestic and sexual abuse and has recently written a poem that will be published in an anthology titled Break the Silence, an anthology of poems against domestic violence, Volume 2, that is being produced by award-winning author Brenda Muhammad. Thanks for joining us today, Dennis. I hope your day is going well.
Going well. Thank you for having me, Mr. Pickering.
Quite welcome. You can call me Dustin. There's no need for formalities.
All right. Sounds good.
That's all right. So my first question is related to the anthology that you were recently published with, the Break the Silence. So what is it about the sexual and domestic violence that has interested you in terms of being involved in people's lives that have suffered through those things?
Well, for personally, I've experienced it as far as I was in a long-term relationship, and years ago, and person I was with had gone through that with a family member when she was real young. So it kind of came out then when I was with her. So it kind of really hit hard with and I experienced going through some of the the setbacks and whatnot of someone close to you and what they experience. So, and I just have always been an advocate about it. I currently am an educator right now, and since the whole COVID issue, the students, there's a lot of mental health issues that go on, and especially with my students, I know I've seen this year especially some students that you wouldn't suspect having some some health issues or mental issues having them because that of their environment and other things. But yeah, it's just always been an issue that I've just held close to my heart, and and then it opened up the opportunity when Miss Brenda Muhammad, I know she produced the first anthology on that, and then I had noticed that there was another one in the works, and I kind of reached out. I sent a poem to her, and the rest is kind of history.
Right. So what level do you teach?
I'm at the middle school level right now. I've taught 20 years at public school system. I taught this is 6 years at the middle school level. I taught 14 at the high school level. So I am a special education teacher. I have a minor in English language and lit, but it's kind of funny. I teach a lot of math, so figure that out. But yeah, so I'm currently at the middle school.
And you say that there's a lot of challenges being faced and COVID. I mean, do you find that, have you ever found that, like, since you're teaching English language and you're also teaching math, obviously, do you find that poetry helps the students at all, or writing, literature, any kind of things like that is actually helpful for their mental health?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think I've actually, we've done some writing activities too. I don't just teach math. And I know actually the person I work closely with, the English teacher I work closely with, they do a lot of, writing. And I think it does. I think it's when you get out your feelings, you put them out and express them on a piece of paper or whatnot. I think you feel better. I know me individually. I mean, I know that this was really, the COVID was really and the poetry was an escape. I mean, I wrote, you know, I've always written poetry. It goes back years and years ago, but this really brought it into the forefront, and it took me away because you know it just takes you away to a different place, and it kind of takes your mind off things for a while. So
Right. What do you think it is about poetry that has the ability to communicate deeper emotions and get in touch with that healing process?
I just think it speaks to the heart. I think, you know, me personally, I write all types of poetry. I mean, I write, you know, love poetry. I write, you know, funny poetry. You know, I write, you know, issues, poetry that, you know, define issues. So I just think it just, somebody somewhere can relate to something you write, and it just, and it hits a chord, you know, it's, and my poetry is not very complicated. I know you had Miss Annette Tardy
Yes.
on your program a little while. And a good friend of mine, I actually am an administrator on her site, The Passion of Poetry, and she drew. I drew attention to her because like her poetry is similar to mine. So I just write some simple, and it reaches, I think, a
Hmm.
wider audience. And I use rhyming, and I've always loved rhyming. You know, from when you're little, going back, Dr. Seuss, and just that whole cat in the hat
Right.
type of thing. You know, it just, to me, it just sings to you. It's almost in, it's like a song. I mean, so many songs rhyme, and I think though, if somebody can just take something and they can relate to their life, you know, whatever it be that you write. So I think that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, the flow and the rhythm and the rhyme, it's like creating a music of sorts in the language, and combine that with the force of sort of a direct sentiments, you know, coming out of it. I think that's definitely something that people can relate to. As and you know, you mentioned you write love poetry. I discovered this interesting thing about you that I thought was really fascinating. You read a poem called "The Truth of Love" on your wedding day.
Yeah,
So
yeah, actually,
how did your wife react to that, and what is the current status of that poem? Because I believe there was some work on that recently too, as well.
okay, I thought you were going to say what is the current
No,
status of my
no.
relationship, but my marriage. It's going strong.
Excellent,
That's
excellent.
um
Good news.
no, it was just yeah, I mean, you know, it was one of those things, kind of a love at first sight type of thing. You know, you always read about it and you just never know what's going to happen to you. And I was living the bachelor life, and you know, and all of a sudden, you know, met you know, my wife now, Melissa, and it just, everything happened quickly. And I was writing a little poetry at the time, and I decided, you know, hey, and I wrote that poem to her. I actually kind of put it in a video
Mhm.
as well. So, and it kind of was played at our, you know, during our wedding day. So yeah, it holds a lot of meaning, obviously, it's close to me and my heart. And I think when you have that and you feel that, I think it's one of my favorite poems, not to be, you know, obviously because it's
Mhm.
my wife, but also because I think it brought you know, that emotion out, that it, you know, that made it a good poem.
I think so. I think definitely having occasions that you read, you know, that memorializes those occasions. Did you find that was the case, that the poem sort of stuck with you because this is such an important event in your life, and it kind of encapsulated the entire process in a way, sort of as a, you know, climatic thing going on. So it was sort of a snapshot of the entire, you know, process of falling in love. Did that feel that it was doing that? The poem did that?
Oh yeah, definitely. It did. It just, like you said, it's kind of like the whole song thing. It kind of sung to me. It kind of come out. It flowed because that was what I was living in the moment, you know. And you know, obviously, marriage is not easy, and you know, you go through all your, you know, different setbacks and everything. But yeah, that, it was definitely a moment I felt, and it was easy to put down on paper. And she did. Luckily, she enjoyed it. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm sure there are other reasons she married me, but
Right.
that not not just because of the poem,
Mhm.
but yeah. So definitely. And then I ended up turning it in. What had happened was there's a very talented man named Alan Johnson. He produces videos, And he actually makes his own music for the videos. I mean, he's a brilliant man. And I sent that in to him, the meaning of love, and he created a video for it, put music to it, and it was remarkable. I mean, I just, it's something that obviously, it's on YouTube, but at the same time, it's something I'm always going to have. It's going to be a video, always going to be there, not just on paper, but, and he did justice to it. It was magnificent the way he did it. But
Oh, interesting. I'll have to check it out and give it a good watch. And I definitely suggest our viewers also look for it. So how do you feel after writing a poem? Do you still feel the same, singular feelings that you would feel when you first started writing poetry?
yeah, I think I've grown obviously since then. I think, I started writing at an early age. I remember I just pulled out the other day, I pulled out a poem that like I must have written when I was 7 or 8, and it wasn't a very good one, but it was a poem, and I just feel like, yeah, I now when I write, it just like it takes me to to whatever I'm writing about. I can become whatever, I can do whatever, I can say whatever, and I'm the type of person that, like, as a poet, I turn it out pretty quickly. I mean, it's just there and it just keeps going. So, I mean, I can write a poem in a half an hour, and and a lot of times what I'll do is before I go to sleep, and hence I don't get much sleep. I'll sit there and I'll have a thought come out, and I'll write about it, and and I'm kind of OCD in that way, that I don't want to put it down until it's done. So I very rarely ever put something down and pick it back up. But because, like you say, it's in the moment, you feel it and you just don't want to let it go at that time.
Do you have a poem to share with us?
Yeah, I've got it. I actually printed. I was at work. I'm like, let me print out a few of them. Now, what do you want? Would you like a love poem? I mean, there's what would be the
Go
theme?
with the love poem. Let's do that.
All right. Do you want me to do the
Yeah,
wedding
why not?
one?
Yeah,
All
why
right.
not? Let's hear it.
All right. Here we go. It's called The Truth of Love.
Hmm.
The moment I gazed upon you, I found the truth in your eyes. The meaning of love came to me, encased in angelic disguise. Your smile wandered like a road so long that touched my heart to its core. Outer beauty stopped and looked about. Inner beauty danced through every pore. The very instant my lips touched yours, time stopped and took a needed rest. The second I took your hand to mine, my empty life became so very blessed. With selfless truth and everlasting faith, we were brought together, you and I, by a power that has given to us a true feeling few will recognize. Chance had no time to stop and play its role as we came together on a certain date. Our souls collided on a course planned out, two beings captured in a web of fate. Through you and your precious child lies my place in this world and above. On my fateful quest of finding you, I have now found the truth of love.
It gives a lot to reflect on those last few words, especially, I think, so you're finding the truth of love, and not just your beloved, but there's also the power of love,
Meaning
the
behind it,
meaning
the
of
power.
love.
Yes.
Yeah, that's excellent. So
Thank you.
beautiful poem, and it's an excellent story behind it. I think it will inspire a lot of people out there to go out and fall in love themselves.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It'll help people do that in this time, in this crisis we're experiencing. We need more bonding and more emotional contact rather than separation as much as we have been. It's very difficult, but
I agree.
yeah, at least phone conversations. If we can't meet together at some point, people need to bond in some capacity. We're humans, so.
Right. I mean, there's a need for bonding and love, and it's hard to do it from long distance. It's just
Mhm.
it's there's been a lot of heartache since COVID, and a lot of loneliness, and people just missing each other, one another. And I personally have a mom that's she's is not like, she would not do well if she caught COVID. So because of her health condition. So, it's hard to stay away from people you love, but you
Right.
have to do what you have to do. So.
We have about a remaining 5 to 6 minutes, and I just see if you can answer this briefly, and then we'll start closing. What other like classic poets, or do you read classical poetry? I'm sure you have some favorite poets among the famous poets that are out there.
Yeah, I do read some. It's funny because I was compared to, and it says I'm not even close, but just because of my style, William Wordsworth. Just because of the rhyming style. I know I had a couple comments before when I threw poems out there, but believe me, if I was a tenth of what that man was, I'd be happy. Maya Angelou. There's just E. Cummings. Some of the modern Urza Pound. People like that. I mean, I read. I read poetry. I'm a big, as far as novels, I'm a big like a horror thriller kind of suspense novel person too. So, but I think it's good to read all types of genres, and it expands your mind in every way. And I tell my kids, you just read, because that's you're going to grow in every way possible the more you read and the more you're exposed to. So.
Absolutely. So do you have any last, things you would like to say to convey to the viewers out there regarding the arts, reading, life, being an artist and struggling, anything, words of advice, words of courage?
Yeah.
A few shout outs, even if you want to do that, a few thank yous to friends and family.
Well, I want to give a shout out to the Passion of Poetry, the administration team I work with. They're great. Miss Annette Tarpley, and the rest of the administrators and moderators, and a good buddy of mine that I'm collaborating on a book with too, Sarfraz Ahmed. I want to give a shout out to him. We're working together. Just like Miss Annette Tarpley and I are collaborating as well on a book, too, that's soon to be out, hopefully. And just Brenda Mohammed, for accepting me in that. Alan Johnson for the videos. Just everybody else in the poetry community. Don't give up. If you love it, just continue to write, continue to grow. You'll get better, and you'll find an audience, whether it be one person or thousands of people. You'll find that audience. You'll find that person that relates to you. I mean, I did just real quick to sum it up. I did a commission piece. It's called Angel Wings. I did it with I actually collaborated. It's a long story, but with an artist out of Canada, and she I used her picture and in my poem, and it was commissioned for someone who had lost their child, and it's on their wall right now. And to me, that means everything. So my thing is just if you love to do it, write, continue to write, follow that passion, and people will listen and people will hear you.
Absolutely. So just have the courage to be and continue doing what you love, and I think those are good words, and I appreciate your time. Yeah, you thanked a few people and you said a few hellos out there. And we've got a remaining minute or so if you want to say anything else.
No, just and a hello to my daughter. She's going to be graduating from Western Michigan University in accounting, and so Megan. Yeah, so Broncos, go Broncos, and actually here I'm representing today. But I'm proud of her. My son Mason, of course, and my wife. She's been real supportive of my poetry and my writing. So I can't thank her enough. And yeah, that's it. Just keeping on doing what I love to do, and little moments like things like this, and I appreciate this very much. Just getting out there and expressing what I love to do, and I greatly appreciate it.
And thank you very much for joining us. This has been a fine afternoon with the Parrot Literary Corner. I'm Dustin Pickering, and we've talked with Dennis Brown about poetry and the various healing powers it has, and being courageous in writing and doing your thing. If you're out there and you're viewing, and we would love to accept donations at paypal.me/nyparrot. And if you're watching, you haven't subscribed quite yet, please do. We're looking for 1 million subscribers. This is our challenge for the creative writing community. We're trying to build a community out of this. And if you're out there and you would like to have a platform, it doesn't matter what level of craft you're at. We're looking for people of all kinds that are artistic merits and various artistic talents to come talk with us. So please be in touch with us. I'm Dustin Pickering. You can get in touch with me on Facebook, or you can reach out at Literary Corner at newyorkparrot.com. And thank you again, Dennis, and thanks to our viewers who continue to stick with us. And this has been the New York Parrot Literary Corner.